Hello and welcome to part 3 of the website styling masterclass. And in this part, we're going to be tackling about styling your homepage. The goal of this part 3 is creating a high converting website homepage that will really attract your dream clients and get them to take action into booking your services. So let's get started. Style tips on designing a really good website homepage. So the first thing and foremost is using a style guide and use it consistently for cohesion. So for example, in this example here, basically it's just the consistency of using this color palette and the fonts. So you want to minimize your fonts into 3. So there is one for heading and be consistent with it. So you want to use a big and readable for headings, and every time you use this is to show prominence, and you apply this for heading 1 tags on your website. You can use it once or twice, but because in Showit, heading 1 is for the headings, the titles. So you want to be careful in using that. So for subheadings, you can use this also for headings, for your H2 and H3, and lastly for your body text. You want to have a font for your text. Again, you want to have a consistent color palette for your website and a consistent pair of fonts that you're going to use for your website. So one is for your titles and one is for accent The idea of using script font is that you can show personality by using accent font. And with the last one, but this is for your body text, and you want to make sure you pick the readable for text. This is so important because if you have a blog, you want to make sure that it is easy to read. Okay, my styling tip number 2 is use the law of visual hierarchy. So this is super important. So there is the size, the position, color, and format. So if you use something small, then it has low visual prominence. So if you want something to really stand out in that design, you want to make that bigger. So for example, if you want to focus, so for example, in this website, this is called the hero section because this is what they see first when they land your website. So for this, the biggest I could see is the image. We tend to look at what is the biggest, so that's what it means by high visual prominence. So, and then you look at the text because it's the next thing that is big, and then the last one is the button. So if you're a photographer and want to really showcase your work, then I would recommend making big photos because they have like big impact, and then you're heading to go next. So leverage the law of visual hierarchy in your website homepage. Styling tip number 3 is to use the 60-30-10 rule in design. I use this quite a lot, and I like to use the 60% for white space because it's so important that your website homepage is not super cluttered and super hard to navigate. And I also like using 30% of your main color based on your color palette. So in this case, this is more like the greens, and 10% is the accent color. The question I would probably get in this one is can you use your green, your darkest colors as 60% white space? Yes. So if you're a winter brand, I would say it's okay. Yes, go for it because definitely you're a winter brand. But if you're a brand season that is not winter, I would probably avoid using dark backgrounds, and because it creates a different vibe. So here is an example. This website that I've done is a summer brand. and I will explain that because based on the values, the client of mine, she values connection, personal development, and impact. So with the connection, that's a summer brand value, and when we chose some font, we chose stuff that really connects with her and her ideal clients. So with the proper use of colors as well, there is more white space, so that's the 60%, and the 30% is the green. So with the 30%, you want to use this for your call to action sections. So that is like if you have a freebie section, you have a free consult call, you want to create that section with that black background or solid background. And for that 10% is for your buttons, like in here. So I want to showcase also like other examples. It's also a summer brand. And so you can see in here, it's quite consistent with the color as well. So yeah, this is how you can really improve your website homepage. People judge the look of your website by just looking at it and browsing. Oh, this looks professional because it is consistent. It is cohesive. And this is an example of an autumn brand. And if you have watched the part 1 on the brand season, I would recommend starting with that so you can judge a website or categorize, classify a website, what brand they are, using those branding guidelines. Okay, so within Showit, you can add your color palette in here, and I would recommend start from dark to light colors because most templates follow same rule like this. So the black ones usually are used for the text, so you want to make sure you keep one black on one end and one on the other end is white, and add your at least 6 color palette, like two dark shades, 2 medium shades, and 2 light shades. And with font, you want to use your heading, the biggest heading for H1, and H2 your accent font, H2 and H3 for accent font, H4 to paragraph are the body text for the body text. So let's move on to styling tip number 4. And this is, you will learn how to use better images for how you use them on your website. So when you take your photos, communicate with your photographer what your brand message is. This is why it's so important to start with branding, because the next steps, as long as you know your message, then you can direct your photo shoot, like what you are trying to say in your photos. So for example, this lady in here, what do you think she's trying to say? So I just assume probably she's just so confident and probably just modeling, but I just tried to create a sentence from this image. So I came up with confidence is power. So the same is true with your hero page, like the main image. It's like your hero page or hero section of your website is like the cover of a magazine. So you want to attract people to kind of like really open that magazine, right? So it's the same is true with your website. So whatever you put in there, it's super important. So you want to make sure that the image of yourself that you put in there really speaks of your unique proposition value, what you really is all about, your message. So know your message and communicate with the photographer. Hey, this is my message, is how can we achieve this, and how can we create a vibe that speaks of this unique value of mine. And in line with imagery, I want to add, you have to have like 3 dimensions of photos: 1 landscape, 1 portrait, and square. And before you upload them to your website builder or show it, make sure to rename them. This is so important for SEO. I'm guilty of this. I just want to upload it straight away, and the names are usually just 1, 2, 3. So make a plan to rename all your photos and upload them, because when you use them again later on, it's still going to be there. It's going to be relevant, stuff like that. Okay. So now let's move on to the must-have homepage sections that you cannot miss for your website. So I am passionate in sharing about this because I've seen quite a lot of websites that don't necessarily attract me, or it's not appealing to me, because they're kind of like still old school, and they don't really know what they need to put in their homepage website. This is why I want to talk about this in this masterclass. And let's get started with the hero section. I have talked about this earlier, and this is like the magazine. This is like the cover of a magazine, right? But this is the hero section of your homepage. And as I said earlier, your hero section is the thing that captures attention, and you want to make sure that you add your headline there, and your headline is something about what you do and what's your difference, your unique proposition values. So remember, your hero section is the hello that makes a lasting impression. So number 2 is the value proposition. This is where you deliver your knockout punch, like you connect the struggles of your ideal clients with your services. You have to know their pain points first, and then connect that pain point to what you offer. You say, have you been struggling with this is and that? This is why I come in, I help you solve those problems. So this is the part when you pitch that, and then of course the next part is what you offer actually. So this could be 2 to 3 services. You can either offer you can either present them in horizontal way or one at a time. So if you have 3 or more, it's good to see it like this. But if you have one or 2 main services, then you can present them one at a time. So, and then after that is to bring that call to action. It's either you offer a free audit, a free consultation, or just to download a freebie. And then after that, you want to introduce yourself, like, hey, by the way, I am my name. And then you share a little bit about your story, what made you do what you are doing right now, and what's your passion. Just like a little bit short intro, because when they click on the get to know me button, that's going to be like a more comprehensive story or background about you. And then the next thing is a credibility section. So it could be a testimonial, as a blog section, or a portfolio section, what others have been saying about working with you. So it just adds a little bit more credibility. And lastly, but not the least, is your footer section. This is like how you sum up everything again, and you want to make sure that you add your links in there again, like a menu, the links to your other pages of your website, your hours, or your social media. This is important. Okay, so we're inside to show it, and I'm just gonna walk you through a website template. This is just a 1-page website template that I'm gonna use just for this part 3. Bring this template into life and make it a personal brand. So this is a background, and if you are a personal brand and you want to use your own photos, you can just basically change that. So if you're a winter brand, you want to be using images like what we've discussed in the previous parts, like dark, moody background. And you just need to change that into a different font. Done. But this one, because it's a background, you want to make sure that the button is really, really stand out button. So you want to make sure that it's easy to see. That's so important. So now let's move on to the value proposition. So if you're also a summer brand, for example, you could use a different photo, like a different vibe. So it's something like this, and change your colors into either your branding colors, like probably pink, and that one into black, and make sure again to make the button obvious. Make sure it stands out. Sorry, I'm just gonna do that. So yes, that's the way it is. And if you are an autumn brand, you can also use something like that. And of course, everything changes. And if your photo is different, if you want to move the text somewhere else, you can do so as well. And if you are a spring brand, you could be using images like this, like it has a pop of color. I love this one. I found a stock photo in Canva, and it's just amazing how. And this one, if you want to use blue, you could also use something blue. Just make sure that your texts are readable. So something like that. I don't know. Okay, so if you want to be using teals and stuff like that, that's right there. So I think I will leave the spring. No, let's do the summer brand, for example. So now with this section, if you are a summer brand, I would not recommend using a lot of dark background. So I would still use something soft, like light color, for example. Like I'll keep it like minimal. Because if you are a summer brand, you don't want to be using a lot of dark backgrounds, because it's all about this romance, elegance, and that softness, gentleness. Yeah, but if you are a winter brand, then definitely using dark backgrounds is good to go. If you're spring or autumn, you can use dark, but make sure that the black you're using is not so dark, not so either off black or anything like lighter than black. And I would only use them for call to action sections. So yes. So if you're a summer brand and you don't want a lot of structure, because we are customizing a winter template here. And if you want to use a summer brand, for example, you can be using shapes that are still elegant, something like that. Something when you also show your face, you might want to also change into something like that. So styling a template is all about like how do you incorporate your brand season to match that template. So you can play around and use elements in Canva to really customize. And yeah, so what I did then in here to upload those photos, I just go to Canva and choose elements in here. So if you are spring brand, you can just use a different shape, for example, something like this. And then either put your face in there, and you can just add it on your website. So you can literally use and combine Canva with the template to really bring out that personality for your brand. So yeah, So definitely check out the first and second part. So you have this idea and guideline on how you can add more personality to your website. I think I've mentioned there as well, like using using fonts. That so if you want to do this, and because this is the use, like fonts have meanings. So if I choose like short script and make that bigger, it just creates a different vibe now this time. So that's exactly how you can customize the template. And then you just need to make it like that. So as you can see, like from this, you can also change the photos and the vibe suddenly changes, you know, like it suddenly changes. So any element that you could think that you could infuse your personality into a template, just go for it. As long as you know which brand season you are, then definitely you can own a template and easily adjust it to according to your taste. Just be mindful that you want to focus their attention into what really matters, like reading your content rather than getting distracted with graphics. So that's all about it. And I hope that you have learned so much from this masterclass on how you can take control of your website from design decisions into customizing a template and finally publishing it. I'm Stephanie, and it's my pleasure to share